In 1953, the first German ambassador, Erich Bolze, came to Aotearoa by ship. This was the start of an increasingly intensive cooperation between Germany and New Zealand. But what do the Kiwis think about the Germans?
Friendly and giving and helpful and outgoing.
Very, very pretty scenery.
Good sausage.
And a lot of historic sites and great musical traditions.
And now we will check what the Germans actually know about New Zealand and the Kiwis.
Landschaft, Berge, Strände.
Die Menschen sind sehr, sehr freundlich.
Da wird Herr der Ringe gedreht.
Lammfleisch aus Neuseeland steht bei uns auf jeder Karte, weil das einfach eine sehr, sehr gute Qualität ist.
Over the last 60 years, the relations between the two countries have become much more than just diplomatical points of contact.
More than 9,000 young Germans come to New Zealand every year on work and travel visas.
They come as strangers and leave as friends.
A German-Kiwi couple and the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra symbolise a very special bond between the two countries.
Music, it's a pretty universal language.
The German pharmaceutical company Bayer in Auckland helps the endangered Kiwi.
We want to give something back to the environment.
It really has a lot to do with looking for win-win projects between the two countries.
A German paleoclimatologist at GNS Science leads an important expedition to Antarctica.
Antarctic ice is one of the most pristine materials in the world.
When the big handball fan Frank emigrated to New Zealand with his parents at the age of 12, his favourite sport was completely unknown here.
Even trying other sports in his teenage years in New Zealand didn't heal the loss of his handball experiences from back home.
When I came to university, there were a collection of foreigners who wanted to play, and we couldn't get rid of this virus that is handball. And as we did that, we met some Kiwis who also wanted to play, and so we were able to slowly and surely build up handball in New Zealand.
With posters, they were able to attract new people, and more Kiwis were curious to try the Olympic sport.
It's handball, for me, it is the great test of all your athletic ability. You've got to jump the highest, you've got to throw the hardest, you've got to run the fastest. Kiwis being natural athletes, it suits them really well.
Within years, Frank established a proper national New Zealand handball team. International trial games helped to qualify for the World Championship.
That trip to Germany enabled me to take New Zealand kids who had fallen in love with the sport into my home country, give them the sense of a handball club hospitality that they can expect from those teams, and it was special. They were so proud to host the New Zealand national team, and our boys were so proud to perform the haka.
It was like a rugby game here would have been, so it was really kind of cool to see how far it can go, and it's like when it's got some support, so it's quite inspiring.
Just see the crowds turning up to even our games, 500 people playing with the band, and we've had national anthems, and that was really cool.
Frank has achieved his goal over the last 20 years. Even a proper handball court has been built.
They are the heroes of the nation, our firefighters. But not a lot of people know that part of their professional equipment comes from the German company Träger, full face masks to protect and save lives.
More than 450 fire stations all over New Zealand are soon using Träger masks.
The last customer you want to let down is the fire service, especially when, one day it might be my house they come and rescue.
After a year-long selection process, the privately owned German company Träger was selected as the official supplier for the New Zealand Fire Service.
Normally when you wear a breathing apparatus mask, if I want to talk to you, it's quite muffled. So our system has a little microphone, and it puts the noise out through a couple of speakers in the front of the mask. And then the second part of that communication system has a little curly cable that plugs into his radio, and then he can talk to the outside world. They can tell them it's dangerous, get out.
It's an intensive cooperation, and close relations have developed between Träger and the New Zealand Fire Service. The German company supplies and services the life-saving breathing equipment.
Everybody is loving the sets. Around the rest of the country, the feedback has been excellent the whole way through.
But Träger has had a connection with New Zealand for over 50 years, and in particular with one very special Kiwi.
It's probably a little known fact that when Ed Hillary and Tenzing Norgay summited Mount Everest, of course they had to wear oxygen breathing equipment, and the oxygen breathing equipment they wore was manufactured by Draeger and supplied by Draeger. But it still has all the scratches and all the bumps and all the paint missing and stuff from the original climbs. I look at those scratches and I think, wow, I wonder which rock that was that took that off, and is there a bit of Draeger paint still up Mount Everest somewhere? For me, as a New Zealander, Ed Hillary being my hero, it's really neat to know that the product that Draeger supplied was something that he used way back then as well.
The political ties between Germany and New Zealand are also very strong.
We find ourselves aligning with Germany's thinking very closely. So it's a very good, effective relationship, and it keeps on getting better the more years pass. So it's an important milestone for us, and we want to mark it appropriately.
Discovering German history and culture, finding new friends and living in the heart of Europe, for one New Zealand teenager, this dream came true.
Germany has a population of over 80 million people. The Kiwi student Lauren experiences life here while staying with a host family.
We understand each other so well. We just get on like we've known each other for years. And my host parents are amazing. They're so incredibly nice and always happy to help me out in any way they can. These people that I've made friends with now are friends I know I'll have for the rest of my life. They're just fantastic people. It's great.
Her exchange is not only about speaking German, it's about immersion in another country. The 16-year-old especially loves the youth culture. Every minute there's something new to discover.
Look around you, this is fantastic. It's like, we don't have anything like this in New Zealand.
3.5 years later, Lauren is studying law in Wellington, but loves to look back at her life-changing experience.
I gained a lot of confidence when I was in Germany, challenging myself by meeting new people and sort of really having to speak another language all the time. But it does change the way you think and the way you view your own culture as well. And I love it when I meet Germans here in New Zealand. It's such an exciting opportunity to practice my German.
Her dearest wish now is to go back to Germany during her studies, to visit her host family again and catch up with her old friends.
When you look at the huge variety of connections between Germany and New Zealand today, it becomes very clear that the two countries have grown much closer together over the last 60 years. And do you have a wish for the future?
Well, my wish for the future is that these contacts will grow and intensify even further, and that we see more exchanges between academicians and researchers, between universities and research institutes. And we all work very closely and very hard on various projects to make that happen.
New Zealand and Germany are as far away from each other as possible. But this huge geographical distance doesn't seem to affect our close friendships. 60 years, an anniversary to celebrate. Congratulations.